Peter Parker is more powerful than the symbiote god Null. I know that's a crazy statement, but it's true, and you'll see why in just a few moments. So today we're back with more Venom War, specifically Venom War Spider-Man issue 3, and it basically picks up in the middle of Peter's fight with Bedlam in yesterday's video, but from the perspective of Peter's mind. We weren't aware until now, but during their fight, Peter wasn't actually there. I mean, he was, but his body was pretty much functioning on autopilot, because in the midst of battle, his mind was ripped from time and then brought to a dark abyss. Immediately upon realizing this wasn't the work of Venom, his spider senses started going crazy. It was literally as if they were on fire, and that's when he was confronted by an entity known as the Eventuality. Now, the Eventuality is essentially Eddie Brock and Venom's final form, and the same entity that showed Dylan the terrible future where Eddie kept the Venom symbiote and became a version of Null. But instead of showing Peter Eddie's future, the Eventuality showed Peter his future if he kept the Venom symbiote. After jamming its tendrils into Peter's body, Peter was brought to a version of the future where he became a King in Black. And the reason I said he was more powerful than Null was because he actually succeeded doing what Null was trying to do. From world to world, his web stretched through the void. He gave form to the infinity and was the king of all that remained in an empty universe. The few who remained beyond his control were forming a team to try ending his reign, and at one point every one of them was his friend. While swinging across the cosmos down to Earth, he wished it didn't come to this. In the past, he heard tyrants say the same thing, but he truly meant it because of how long he'd been fighting, taking down heroes, villains, and even empires. Apparently, him and Mary Jane once ruled together as king and queen until she was consumed. After that, apparently Peter lost their daughter as well, so the people forming against him could never understand why he chose to bring order to the galaxy. After that, he was confronted by an absolutely mind-blowing version of the Avengers, consisting of Arachnio, the Silver Surfer, an old version of Star-Lord wielding a hammer from Asgard, a version of Hulkling wearing the cape of levitation, and so on and so forth. Now, every single one of them was in agreement that they weren't showing Peter any mercy at all. But despite using every ounce of power they had unrelentlessly, Peter wasn't fazed in the slightest. Slicing Rocket's head off, tanking blows left and right, they just couldn't affect him at all. And as the battle raged on, he jammed his tendrils into Gamora, Star-Lord, whoever was in the Hulkbuster, and then literally wiped away Hulkling from existence. But his craziest kill of all was reshaping Silver Surfer's body into a spear and then jamming that spear through Nebula's chest until all that was left was him and Arachnio. Now, this is where things get interesting because during their showdown, Peter wanted answers, asking Arachnio if this was what they wanted. Was consuming his wife and friends not enough? They had to consume their futures as well? Arachnio begged to differ though, saying that after losing MJ, he never trusted anyone and blamed everyone, including his daughter. After that, Peter was outraged, demanding the symbiote to stop talking about his daughter because they were the reason he lost her, and then jamming his tendril right through their chest. Now, it doesn't specify how this ended up happening, but moments later, Arachnio told Peter that his daughter was never lost. He just couldn't see her, revealing that May was the person bonded to Arachnio all along. With tears rolling down his face, Peter shouted at the top of his lungs, and in that moment, he finally snapped out of it. After witnessing such a horrible future, Peter didn't want anything to do with symbiotes, so Venom released itself from his body like we saw in yesterday's video, and then bonded back with Eddie and Dylan. However, Peter's fight was far from over because right after that, he was attacked by Bedlam once again. And as their battle continued, he was contacted by MJ's lover, Paul, expressing MJ had been consumed by Arachnio as we saw in the last Spider-Man tie-in. And because she couldn't defeat it with powers beyond Peter's, Paul wasn't confident they were capable of taking it down. Despite such slim odds though, Peter was determined to save her life, stating that no matter what happened, he wasn't losing anyone else that night. But with that being said, sadly our issue comes to an end, but if you want to see what happens next, let me know in the comments down below.